Listener discretion is advised.
Fabulous. Oh my God.
You are listening to Wine and Crime, the podcast where three friends chug wine, chat true crime, and unleash their worst Minnesotan accents.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, golly gee.
And a lot of other bad accents, too.
We run the gamut.
Minnesotan accents are like the only accents we can do
Properly.
correctly. Yeah.
Doesn't
Yep.
stop us from trying.
Sometimes New York. Sometimes like New York grandma. We know.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
We'll have an opportunity to attempt some really bad South African accents in this episode.
Oh, South Africa.
Ooh.
South Africa.
Ugh.
All right. Well, I'm Kenyan. I remembered.
Oh, I'm Lucy.
I'm Amanda. Hello.
Yeah, I'm Mrs. Doubtfire. Hello.
It was a drive-by fruiting.
Oh, we need to watch that.
Also, everybody should join our Patreon at
Yes.
$5 a month on up so they can see these video episodes because Amanda has a very cute bright orange sweater.
I'm so cute today.
You are.
Mm-hmm.
We also just recently had our second ever Patreon happy hour. Like
Yes.
we've done a little change up.
We're judging our Patreon content. We got a lot on there in case you don't know. So we each have our own spin-off shows that we release. There'll be an episode that comes out every month, but we rotate whose. So Lucy's is the first spin-off show. Do you want to tell them about Spooky Little Bitch?
It's called Spooky Little Bitch.
Wow.
And every episode, I interview somebody who's as fucking creepy as I am.
I love that.
Or about things that I find very interesting. It's really, it's not about anyone else. It's about me.
It's anything that sparks Lucy's
Joy.
interest.
Does this spark joy?
Does this fatal pig dissection spark joy?
Do these gallstones spark joy?
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. And then Amanda's show.
I have a show called A Mansplaining, and this is fun. It's kind of interactive. So you could go to our website, wineandcrimepodcast.com, and under that contact tab, I think it is. It's either the contact tab or wherever you find the Patreon stuff. I'm clearly really good at this. There is a button for you to leave me a voice memo. So you can like, quote unquote, call in, tell me your problems. Tell me all about your problems. Try to
She
keep it
is-
under 3 minutes. It's like a
She's
TikTok.
not a licensed anything, but
Definitely
she will
not.
give her opinions.
And then I'll give you a mansplaining advice. It's an advice column. It's
Yeah.
super fun. It's been a blast to make. I love it.
And if you don't want to do the audio message, you can also just, send an email address
You can.
to Amanda, a mansplaining. And yeah, maybe you'll get picked.
Maybe.
And then my show is the newest one. We just released the second episode. It's called Unimpressed.
God, it's so fun.
And it's just I have a different guest on each episode, and I tell them to find a niche topic that really annoys them, like whatever their pet peeve is, or just something that they want to like rant
Bitch
about.
Yep.
And then I pick a topic and we bitch together without
I
judgment.
love-
It's great.
I love a communal bitch.
Yeah, it's just a vehicle
A mutual
for
bitch.
ranting and bitching. So.
Mutual bitching.
So that's some of our Patreon stuff. And then we also have all these video episodes. We have drunk dive
dives.
episodes.
Those are so fun.
Oh my God. We get toasty and
Yeah.
talk about random shit.
They're fun.
And then we do a virtual happy hour. Like it's like a mini live show once a month.
Yeah. We got a lot of Patreon content. We just felt like we don't talk about that enough. And we wanted to let you guys know everything that's on our Patreon. So go check
Yeah.
it out.
Come hang out with us. We have so much fun over on the
Yeah.
Patreon.
Join us.
It's a
Welcome.
submersive, subversive. Are those basically the
Both.
same thing experience?
They're not the
Both.
same, but
They're
it is
very
both.
different, but it is both.
Right.
A broken clock is right twice a day.
Get submerged and subverged in our Patreon content.
It's subvaginal.
Subverged.
Subvaginal.
Transvaginal.
Ooh,
Mesh. Anyway, come mesh with us on our Patreon page.
Oh, we don't mesh around.
We sure do.
Don't mesh with Texas. Okay.
Texas. So anyway,
Oh my God.
Neither here nor there. We have a very
Speaking of neither here nor there,
oh my God.
I'm allowed.
You're allowed. You're great. You're fathered in. We have a very special episode this week brought to you by two fan pickers.
Yep.
We got Kristen Thomas and we got Suzanne Jacobson,
My own ma'am,
aka Amanda's mother.
who has actually, before anyone assumes there is any nepotism involved here, she has been paying at this level for quite some time.
At this level?
Yes, waiting for this moment.
Oh
Yes.
my God. Well,
She
thank
was
you,
kind of
Suzanne.
quietly doing it without like ever sending in her fan pic. And then I think we harassed her in person around Mother's Day.
Yeah.
And then she was like, fine, this is what I want.
Amazing. All right. Well, they both came to a great topic, and that is amputee crimes.
Yep.
And it was requested by two people, so we felt justified.
Well, you know, we'll get to it.
Listen,
So
my
it's
father
kind of a
lost
weird one.
many toes before losing a leg.
Yep.
You
So-
keep any of them?
No, we weren't like creepy enough at the time. If
Yeah.
we were given the option now, you better fucking believe.
Pickle those tootsies.
But one of the times that he had a toe removed, and if you are not familiar with the ravages of diabetes and neuropathy, it really affects your circulation and your ability. It's like nerve damage, so it also affects your ability to feel and heal if you get like cuts or anything on your feet. So I do check my feet very often. But if you know, a diabetic or like a brittle diabetic who's been diabetic for a very long time can have some nerve circulation and restorative damage
Is
in
that
their
the medical
extremities.
term? A brittle diabetic?
Brittle diabetic. Yeah.
I've never heard that before. That's
Yeah. Really dark.
Yep.
Yep. Really sad. But so there were times when my dad would get like a cut or even a blister that just wouldn't heal. We're more prone to infection. And so like a toe would have to go. Hashtag a toe would have to go. I think he lost 2, maybe 3 between both feet. Well, he ended up losing like
He
5
lost
to,
all 5.
5 to 7 in the end. But one of the times when he was in the hospital having a toe removed, so, I don't remember who it was. It had to have been a colleague of his, but someone got him the most amazing like get well card. And it was in the style of those old like Sunday newspaper drawing our comics The Far Side, which like my family loved those. And it was someone with missing a toe. It was like a person with a missing toe, and there was a little note on that toe that just said "went to market" on that like empty space. And my dad kept that card for years. It might still be somewhere. He loved it so much. He thought it was so
buried with
funny.
it.
Yeah, he thought it was so funny. So yeah, went to market.
Your dad just kept such an amazing sense of humor throughout all his medical stuff.
He did. He did. Not always on his own, but it was it was sometimes a
family
collaborative
affair.
effort. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But macabre humor is one of our faves.
Yeah.
So,
What
yeah.
was his all the like pretty girls on the Jersey Shore? He'd like take his fake leg off and like massage his stump around them or something.
Okay, so to be fair, he was not just harassing women.
Yeah, that made him sound really bad. He
Real
wasn't
bad.
he wasn't a creep at all.
But when you go to the beach, and at least in this particular spot where we vacation, you have to pay for like a weekly beach pass. It's called a beach tag. And they have like beach tag employees that work for the city that go
Checking.
around making sure you have your beach tags. And we had a tactic because we always got beach tags, but never enough to cover our growing family. So whenever the beach tag girls would approach, we'd yell like Skittles, and he would whip off his prosthetic leg and start, quote, airing out his stump, just like flapping it around.
just
and
so that they wouldn't like
they wouldn't come anywhere fucking near us. They'd give us such a
30-foot
wide
radius.
berth. Yeah, they were like, all right, we're just
like
gonna.
Moses parting the Red Sea.
Yup, it worked. It worked.
amazing. Sometimes you got to manipulate ableism to your benefit.
Absolutely. He dealt with enough bullshit to
Yeah,
get
yeah.
a couple of, dollars off his beach tags every fucking year.
Yeah,
God
Hot
bless
tip
him.
for the Jersey
If you got
Shore.
it, flaunt it. And eat it. If you got
if
it,
you
flap
don't
it.
got it, also flaunt it.
Flap it.
Flap it.
Oh my God. Okay.
We'll get to the flaps.
Real quick, though, one of our fan pickers, Kristen, says in their email, quote, I manage sales reps who help amputees and other people who need wheelchairs to get them through insurance. It's a challenging job, but so very rewarding. I am also a vitamin, having served in the Air Force for 11 years as a Russian linguist.
Damn.
Kenyon is impressed.
Yeah. Das Vidanya.
Which I don't know actually what that means.
Good on ya.
Good on ya.
And have met countless veterans who are amputees. So many people don't know that they can qualify to get this equipment from insurance, and it makes such an enormous difference in their lives to be able to be safe and independent with their chairs. I absolutely love what I do and feel honored that I get to do it every day. So thank you, Kristen.
Good on
It's
ya,
amazing.
Kristen.
The
Das
parents,
Vidanya.
the parent of our godson is a like prosthetics specialist. She like builds prosthetic limbs.
Oh, yeah. I remember
Yeah.
talking to her about that.
Super badass. And she was like she was like a top Minnesota like cabinet maker, and then was like, I'm gonna cut my thumb off. I need to use these incredible skills in a different way. So she went back to trade school and learned how to build prosthetics, and now she works in that field with clients, and it's fucking amazing.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
I love it. It's such a cool skill set, and yeah, it's literally life-changing for so many people.
Yeah.
To have access to that kind of prosthetic technology. And it's come such a long way.
It
It's
feels like
incredible.
it's like just grown leaps and bounds just in our lifetimes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So cool.
All right. Well, let's get to the wine crime pairing and then we can keep chatting.
Yeah, we had a pairing recommendation from one of our fan pickers, Kristen. And I want to first defend myself because I did look and let me start defensively in a true white lady fashion.
First of all,
I tried. I did.
Listen,
I
I got a lot going on, okay?
got a lot going on. I'm very stressed. I'm under a lot of stress. Tom rolled his car 3 times.
My
Anyway,
son.
he confronted the burglar. So I looked this up and it was available at Total Wine. So I went to Total Wine and they didn't fucking have it. So their online inventory was not matching with their actual in-store inventory. And is it possible I went to the wrong location? Absolutely not. There's no way I could have messed that up. So I am not specifically drinking this today, but this is the official pairing, and I'll just kind of show you what I'm actually drinking. But this was recommended. It's called the Three-Legged Red. And this is made by Dunham Cellars, and it's Three-Legged Red in the world of Amputee Crimes because it's based on a beloved triped pet,
Love
a very cute
There's
three-legged
literally
dog.
nothing cuter than a three-legged dog.
Literally
So,
nothing. And this dog is
three-legged-
featured.
meaning a dog and not someone with a huge dick.
Correct.
Correct.
And the dog in question is featured on the label and is so adorable. So you gotta love it. This is a red blend of Cabernet, Merlot, and Syrah. It's considered just like a red table wine. It's from Washington State. It's gonna be very medium-bodied, very drinkable, pairs with basically everything. And here's the little story about the dog on the label. It was a sunny summer day when I first met Port. Outside, I heard the distinct sound of an animal in distress. It took only moments to realize what was happening across the field from my house. A young puppy had fallen into harm's way and was being attacked by another dog.
Oh my God.
I ran to the scene, broke up the fight, and found that the puppy was very badly injured. Instinctively, I wrapped him up and took him to the veterinarian, and although the puppy had lost a leg, he had found a home.
Oh.
With only 3 legs and 2 on the port side, I named him Port, and he was my best friend.
Oh, that's
Okay,
so
well, that's
cute.
the cutest thing ever.
Yep, so this wine is in honor of Port the dog, who belongs to Eric Dunham, the founding winemaker of Dunham Cellars.
Love it.
And that's so fun.
Great pairing. Good on you, Kristen.
Yeah.
That's good on ya. But I don't have this in my possession because life is hard. So I have a bottle that a friend gave me. It's called Dead Stars and Black Holes Pinot Grigio.
Wow.
And it's actually
Uplifting.
chilled.
That's beautiful.
I know.
Beautiful
It's
bottle.
such a gorgeous label. I love it. So thank you to my friend Erin Hurley.
I am drinking your classic Oyster Bay Sauvignon Blanc.
Oh,
grocery
I love an Old
love
Bay.
that
grocery
one.
store special. You might
Listen.
say it's my crutch.
Oyster Bay is legit. That's a good like $6 bottle for when you just need something.
It's a good one.
Mhm.
And I'm drinking water because it's still January.
I also have water. I got
Noble
both.
of you.
And I have my
Sucks.
Wine and Crime Gals XOXO Iridescent Wine Key, locked and
Ooh.
loaded, which you can purchase at wineandcrimepodcast.bigcartel.com. And I also just put on lotion. So this could be interesting. All right. Maybe I can do this. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well done. Nice pap.
That's a
Nice
friggin' nice
pap.
pap. Let's get some ASMR.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
There we go.
Let's really pour it in.
Oh, it's making me have
Jesus.
to pee.
Fucking
Okay.
glug glug, bitches. We're on a double recording today.
Woo, shoot. Yes, we are.
Mama gotta survive.
The next month's GAC is going to be real funny.
Sloppy. Oh, that's tasty. Thank you, Erin, for the Pinot.
All right. Well, Lucy, what is our background and maybe psych for Amputee Crimes?
A little dose of psych for you. Okay. So WebMD says, quote, amputation is the surgical removal of all or part of a limb or extremity, such as an arm, leg, foot, hand, toe, or finger.
A finger.
Finger. About 1.8 million Americans are living with amputations. Amputation of the leg, either above or below the knee, is the most common amputation surgery.
My father's amputation was below the knee.
He's in good company.
Mm-hmm.
There are many reasons an amputation may be necessary. The most common is poor circulation because of damage or narrowing of the arteries called peripheral arterial disease. Without adequate blood flow, the body's cells cannot get oxygen and nutrients they need from the bloodstream. As a result, the affected tissue begins to die and infection may set in.
Mm-hmm.
Other causes for amputation may include severe injury, for example, from a vehicle accident or serious burn.
A friend of mine got into a motorcycle accident and lost his foot.
Oh, did you
Yep,
keep
it had
it?
a below the knee amputation. No, most people don't keep it.
Well, most people don't think it through.
From now on, if the person kept it, we will
tell you.
know.
Yep, we'll tell you immediately if they kept it.
I saw a video online. I don't know if it's real, but I really hope it is. That
If
a
you
guy.
don't know if it's real, it's probs not.
Well, let me just finish the story. It's just entertaining either way.
Okay.
He got his foot amputated for some reason below the knee. Had a very like obvious prosthetic, and he decided to keep it. So he asked them if he could keep it, and they kind of pushed back. But he was like, "It's my fucking foot," and there wasn't anything wrong with it, like disease-wise.
Sure.
I don't remember what the purpose was, but if it's like a biohazard, I can understand why they won't
Yeah,
let you keep it.
if it's a
Like an infectious disease risk.
or if there's just like flesh on it that's going to rot. That
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't know the state of the foot when he got
like
it, but
bones,
he had it.
I understand.
He had it taxidermied so that it was just the bones of his own foot, and he had it like set like in the foot position, and he carried it around with him.
That I like. I like
Yeah.
that.
All right.
He
I
kept
put
it
that
in
in
a
my
backpack.
curiosities shelf.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's
I would
my
do
foot.
that.
like articulated on a stand.
I didn't lose my foot. It's over there.
Yeah, I see it. I can see it from here.
Cost me an arm and a leg to get it taxidermied.
So
My
stupid.
one of my uncles lost the tip of one finger because he's been like a carpenter his whole life, whatever, and lost it in an accident, but he did not get to keep it.
I read the wildest thing while doing research for this about how in children of a certain age, and this is like very similar to like brain elasticity and plasticity or whatever, but like who lose the tip, if they lose the tip of a finger to like a bite or frostbite or something, it can grow back.
What if they're like really young and
If they're young enough to have,
Malleable?
not necessarily. I don't think it was necessarily bone, but it might have been like muscle and flesh that in an
Whoa.
adult would not regenerate in the way that it can in a child.
Little
Isn't that wild?
starfish.
Yeah,
Little geckos.
yeah, little gecks.
all right.
Little petite gecks.
So
Um,
wild.
One last amputation anecdote. A friend of mine, shout out Joran. I'm confident he doesn't listen to this. He is an incredible musician, and one night a while ago they were playing a show, and he was carrying his big amp outside to the van or whatever. And it was in the middle of winter, and it was very icy, and he slipped, and the amp fell and landed just on his fingertip, and it like blew off.
Yeah.
Oh,
So he went back in the bar, and his hand is like bleeding
Covered in blood.
profusely. And he's like, can I get some ice? So they poured a big pitcher with ice water, and he just sat with his hand in it. They went and found the fingertip
Got
and put
to.
that in a separate bag of ice.
Somebody come
Apparently,
get
you're
her.
We'll get
not
to that.
supposed to ice it.
Yes, you are, and we'll get to it.
Oh.
Stuck it in the ice water and then went to the hospital, and he had to have his hand his fingertip attached to the palm of his hand so that the skin on
Would grow back?
the healthy palm of his hand would
Yeah.
like transfer to his fingertip.
Yeah.
So he was cast
Whoa.
like this, probably like the whole like this for a long time.
Wow.
And now he's fine.
Good for him.
Yeah.
It's amazing what is possible.
Science, y'all. Let me
And
tell
imagine
you.
all the trial and error
For real.
in history about all this shit too.
Well, I feel like amputation was one of the was probably
Early.
like the first surgery.
I'm talking about like this kind of a thing.
Oh,
like
the
right.
grafts, and
attaching
stuff, like
your
the-
fingertips to your palm and like hoping
Yeah.
for the best. Hey, it works. Cool.
Some
Very
of the
cool.
skin grafts material that was used for wound care on my dad was like literally baby foreskin because it's so nutrient rich
Yeah,
and
the
regenerative.
stem cells.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
They put it in like facial cream.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I
so-
love this episode already so
It's
much.
a good one, and
gonna
my
be a
notes
long
are real
one.
long.
She's a good one.
Okay, so causes for amputation: severe injury, cancerous tumor in the bone or muscle of the limb, serious infection that does not get better with antibiotics or other treatment, or thickening of nerve tissue, which is called a neuroma, or frostbite.
So would we consider like a mastectomy? That counts, right?
As
Even
like
though
an
it's-
amputation?
Yeah.
Your breast isn't a limb.
It's not a limb.
I think amputation
It's not an
is specific to limbs. Yeah.
extremity.
Yeah, I guess, but I feel like I would
It-
count it.
I mean, it's still an incredibly traumatic and invasive surgery. It's
Right.
just not medically
It's not
called an
technically
amputation.
An amputation.
Yeah, it just has
Okay.
different, has its own name.
Yeah. Mastectomy would be the
Yep.
name. There are lots of variables when it comes to amputation. A lot depends on the circumstances surrounding the amputation, like whether it was a planned procedure at a hospital or whether you had to saw off your own arm with a pocket knife because a boulder fell on it 127 hours ago, which
That
we'll
movie
get
is
to.
wild.
I would never be able to do that.
I'd
I mean,
just
I feel
die.
like most of us would never be able to do that.
Fuck no.
That's an above and beyond.
First of all, I'd never be
survival
able to
instinct.
go like bouldering.
It's called canyoneering, and we'll get to it.
Oh my God. Okay, sorry. Well,
Canyon ain't hearing that.
Yeah.
Typically, an amputation requires 5 to 14 days or more in the hospital, depending on like complications and whatever. Amputation may be done under general anesthesia, so the patient is totally asleep, or with a spinal anesthesia, which just numbs the body from the waist down.
Nope. I want to be asleep.
Is
I
that
don't
what
want to
an
know.
epidural is? That's an
Yes.
epidural. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Or with nothing. Or
Not-
with just a strap of leather
Oh,
between your teeth.
and a strong bite.
Right.
Back
yeah,
in the day.
stick to bite on.
Well,
When performing an amputation in a hospital setting, the surgeon removes all damaged tissue while leaving as much healthy tissue as possible. A doctor may use several methods to determine where to cut and how much tissue to remove. So these include checking for a pulse close to where the surgeon is planning to cut, comparing skin temperatures of the affected limb with those of a healthy limb, looking for areas of reddened skin, or checking to see if the skin near the site where the surgeon is planning to cut is still sensitive to the touch.
Okay, that all
wouldn't
makes
be
sense.
ideal.
Yeah, they don't want to get rid of the good stuff.
Yeah, they're like, is
Right.
blood still flowing here? Can you still feel it? Great, we'll keep it.
During the procedure itself, the surgeon will remove the diseased tissue and any crushed bone, smooth uneven areas of bone, seal off blood vessels and nerves. This was my favorite part. And cut and shape the muscles so that the stump or the end of the limb will be able to have an artificial limb or prosthesis attached to it.
That also makes
There's
sense.
It has to be able to withstand that kind of pressure.
We need to come up with a different word for
Stump.
the stump. I'm sorry.
It's the word, man. Stump is the word. It's
I
the place.
know.
It's the motion.
I know.
love it.
Stump is the way we are feeling.
I
I try
have a
to think of
problem
one,
with
but I'm
the
just
word.
stumped.
I don't have a problem with the fact.
Oh, right.
You know, I mean,
Did you hear my
that's a body. That's great. You know, whatever. But the word stump.
It's a little rough.
No one heard my joke.
What did
No.
you say?
I said I'm trying to come up with another word, but I'm
But
stumped.
I'm stumped. Okay, there it is. Okay, this is crazy. And obviously I'm gonna have a million fucking anecdotes in this episode, so just deal with it. But so it was a long process of getting to the point where my father's foot was amputated. He'd fallen on the driveway, like getting the newspaper in the winter. And again, brittle diabetic, he didn't feel how that he had actually like broken his ankle. He thought he like twisted it or whatever.
Oh,
And then he walked around on it
A lot.
without realizing the damage that was happening there. But they tried for the better part of, I want to say a year, maybe more, to save it. Because obviously they're not just going to lob it off willy-nilly. But on one, he was developing a wound from like the boot that they put him in to try and correct the ankle. And that's really common. You can develop wounds from a prosthesis that doesn't fit properly.
Right.
Like these are all things you have to be really careful about and get them refit. But before he had the foot removed, he was at the doctor's office for an appointment. And my mother was there because he couldn't drive at this point. And she remembers they like removed the boot to check the wound, and like a piece of bone just fell out of the wound and onto the like carpet in the doctor's office. And the doctor was like, "Yep, it's time."
did he keep it?
Oh, God.
Fucking God damn it, Lachelle.
Yeah. So it's like, when do you know? That's when they knew. That is when they knew it was time.
Was it his right leg?
Yes.
Was he able to, he learned to drive with his left leg then?
Oh, yeah. And I was in fucking driver's ed training, and we went to this like field day for driver's ed, and they had different stations where you would try like different driving maneuvers, and there was a station to test your reaction time. It was like a wooden board with a red light and a green light and then two pedals, and you had to like switch between what foot the pedal was on. And this fucking guy with his prosthetic leg like wasted me at the reaction time fucking test, and then never let me live it down. He held that over me until the day he died.
Amazing.
Son of a bitch.
Because you have pretty good reaction times because you drive like a bat out of hell.
I do, but he
Oh,
still,
when
he
we
still
almost
beat
got
me.
T-boned in LA that one time after dinner.
That was like Fast and Furious shit. I handled it.
That was wild.
Mama handled it. And that person is dead.
Oh my God.
I hope not.
You just gotta swing right through.
Yeah. I want to address our lawyer, Julian, right now. That was a joke, and I did not kill anyone.
And now he's dead.
I mean, they might be dead, but it would be
Not my
unrelated.
fault. Yeah, not my fault.
Just because they're a horrible
Shitty driver. But it's LA. That's like everybody. There, I said it.
Okay.
Moving on. The surgeon may choose to close the wound right away by sewing the skin flaps, which is called a closed amputation.
Another
Or-
rough term.
Yeah, I told you we'd get to the flaps.
So many
or
flaps.
they may leave the site open for several days in case there's a need to remove additional tissue. So they'll be like, let's just see how this goes. And we might need to go back in.
Might need a trim.
Oh,
Trim, yeah, exactly. Shave a little more off.
no, a little off the top.
A little high and tight.
She's a little long in the flap.
Yuck. We need to clip that flap a little bit.
Okay.
Clip the stump.
It's really the language that I have the problem with.
That's fair. It's rough stuff.
It's really bad. The surgical team then places a sterile dressing on the wound and may place a stocking over the stump to hold drainage tubes or bandages. The doctor may place the limb in traction, which is a device that holds it in a specific position, or they may use a splint. This is my only bit of psychology. Often amputees will feel something called phantom pain, which is pain that feels like it's coming from a body part that's no longer there. Doctors once believed this post-amputation phenomenon was a psychological problem, but experts now recognize that these real sensations originate in the spinal cord and the brain. So it's real pain.
Oh, yeah.
Most people who have had a limb removed report that it sometimes feels as if the amputated limb is still there. And this is a painless phenomenon known as phantom limb sensation that's not the same as phantom pain.
Yeah, sometimes it's pain and sometimes it's like a tingling
It's just
feeling.
present.
Yeah.
Like
just
how if
like-
you actually think about your hands and feet, you can just feel that they are present on
Right.
your body.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Right.
So here are some tips if you happen to witness a traumatic amputation, because it's not likely, but if you do,
It could happen to anyone.
things you should know.
I was listening to just randomly, I kind of forgot that we were recording this episode today, and just randomly earlier today I was listening to This Is Actually Happening podcast episode, and it was about a guy who he was hunting and a gun discharged and shot him like in the leg, and he almost bled to death because they were in the middle of nowhere hunting. And then ended up having to have a leg amputated and whatever. And it's, it can just happen.
Happens in the wild.
It happens to people all the time.
Every
the
day.
human body is fragile
Mm-hmm.
and brittle to some.
We've been over all of my fears. Anyway, moving on.
Well, always
What do we
happy
do?
to provide you with more.
Thank you.
Are you a banana yet?
Every day I check.
Amanda's new fear is that she's going to wake up as a banana.
Yeah, and it's Lucy's fault. And I don't remember what episode she scared me with that. Probably a gack or something, but just, I don't know. Let me know. Or don't.
We
I
were
don't
talking
know.
about the human DNA and how we're like 1% away from a banana.
That's right. That's where my fear came from. Thanks for the reminder.
Okay, step 1, call 911, obviously.
Yeah.
Step 2, stop the bleeding, stanch the flow. A complete amputation may not bleed very much. The cut blood vessels, this part is so gross. The cut blood vessels may spasm, pull back into the injured part, and shrink.
No.
So
Like
little,
they're trying to protect
recoils.
themselves?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is a response that's supposed to slow or stop the bleeding. If there is still bleeding, do the following. If available, wash your hands with soap and water and put on disposable gloves. It's kind of unlikely, but
Like if you have time, though.
right. Well, if you're like a fucking doctor or you have that shit on your person.
Right. But also, if it's like going to take too much time to do that, maybe don't.
Well, infection is a major issue.
Yeah.
If gloves are not available, use many layers of clean cloth, plastic bags, or the cleanest material available between your hands and the wound.
Okay.
Have the injured person lie down and elevate the site that is bleeding. Remove any visible objects in the wound that are easy to remove, and remove or cut the clothing from around the wound. Apply steady direct pressure for a full 15 minutes. If blood soaks through the cloth, apply...
That's too long. I gotta go.
I know, right? That's 15 minutes is a really long time.
I don't know
really
if I have
fucking
the
long
forearm
time.
strength.
Or the patience.
I'd want to like turn on a podcast on my phone while I'm just like sitting there.
I'm just telling you right now, if this happens near me, you're dying, honey. You're dying.
If your life depends on me, you probably
You're
shouldn't
dying.
have put yourself in that situation.
Lucy would
in
be
the first
like,
place.
I just, if you lose it, I'm going to keep it.
I want to keep it.
I'm keeping
Asked
it.
to keep
Dibs.
it. Dibs.
Lucy would be all about calling dibs. Amanda would have
100%.
fainted.
Oh, yeah.
I think I could handle it until
Kenyon would have
it's
just
over.
walked away. No.
Yep.
No.
Just like when that one time we went to the ocean together, she dipped in one toe.
Not even. He didn't even touch the water. You
I
saw the
don't
waves.
like
and you're
the
just like,
ocean.
No.
no.
I'm not taking that kind of risk.
What risk?
I don't like the ocean. I don't like it.
Okay.
I don't like the ocean. I
don't like it.
Okay.
It's pretty, but I don't want to be in it.
Okay. Back to what to do if you witness a traumatic amputation. Okay. If the blood soaks through the cloth, apply another one without lifting the first one. So just keep stacking it. Stack it.
Okay.
If there is an object in the wound, apply pressure around the object, not directly over it, obviously. Check and treat the person for shock. The trauma of the accident or severe blood loss can cause the person to go into physiological shock. Some signs of physiological shock include passing out, feeling dizzy or lightheaded, feeling very weak or having trouble standing, being less alert. The person may be suddenly unable to respond to questions. They may be confused, restless, or fearful.
What about like a tourniquet? Are you supposed to do a tourniquet?
Well, I mean, we're like part way through this list.
Okay.
I don't. No, there's no tourniquet in this list. Emotional
That
stress
seems irresponsible.
Sus.
Yeah.
Little sus. Emotional stress from the event may cause symptoms such as lightheadedness or fainting. This is sometimes called emotional shock. Lightheadedness and fainting from emotional stress may be confused with physiological shock. So they're two different things, but
they just have very similar presentation.
Yeah.
Sounds like.
yeah. Next, care for the. This is if it's a completely amputated body part. You have to then care for the part while you're applying pressure, I guess. It's a lot of multitasking here.
Yeah, this is
Recover the amputated part if possible and transport it to the hospital with the injured person. If the part can't be found right away, transport the injured person to the hospital and bring the amputated part to the hospital when it is found. Gently rinse off the dirt and debris with clean water if possible. Do not scrub it.
Okay.
Don't really clean it. Wrap the amputated part in dry, sterile gauze or clean cloth. Put the wrapped part in a plastic bag or waterproof container, and then that's what you put on ice.
Yeah, you
Okay.
have to protect it.
So you don't put it directly on ice.
No.
So the goal is to keep the part cool, but not to cause more damage from like direct contact with the ice.
Right.
That
You don't
makes
want to
sense.
frostbite it.
Yep.
Right.
Do not cover the part with ice or put it directly into ice water. So I got a bone to pick with Tanner because he was the one that put the fingertip in the picture. Care. So if it's partially amputated, then there you can care for the partially amputated body part too. So you elevate the injured area, you wrap or cover the area with sterile dressing, apply the pressure, blah, blah, blah. This will slow the bleeding until the person receives medical care. You don't want to cut off the blood flow to the partially amputated part, so pressure needs to be light. It's just enough to slow the blood loss, so no tourniquets.
Weird.
Gently splint the injured area to prevent movement or further damage. You know, where tourniquets come into play is when you want to stop the blood flow, so that would be like if you're preparing to amputate.
I think maybe it depends on like the severity. Like if it's like
yeah.
really fucking bad and that limb is not coming back and they're bleeding a lot, then maybe, yeah, the tourniquet is to just stop the blood flow and it's not about the limb anymore. It's about like saving the person's life from like bleeding out.
Well, that would be the direct 15 minutes of pressure too. So it's a kind of a either or. I don't know.
Doctors, email us about the tourniquet. I actually do want to know.
I wouldn't use a tourniquet all willy-nilly if you weren't confident that what you were doing was necessary. Anyway.
I hate this. I'll talk about a bone falling out of my dad's foothole all day, but
This is bothering you?
if I have to imagine myself in this kind of trauma response situation, and I keep a pretty level head, but you're gonna die. Like, if the cops can't get, like EMTs can't get to us rapidly, I'm
confident and I think I could handle it.
I think I could too.
Yeah. Although just getting like blood drawn when they do the little like rubber band tourniquet thing for like 10 seconds when they like draw your blood. You know what I'm saying?
You do not like that.
No.
I think
I instantly am like, well, if this takes too long, if they can't find a vein, I'm
gonna
losing
die.
this arm.
Yeah.
And yet you really need to know how you yourself should be using a tourniquet in an amputation emergency.
I want to know.
So that you don't accidentally lob somebody's arm off with a too tight tourniquet.
I don't know.
A
I
triple
just want to
T.
be prepared, okay?
Love it.
Okay, well, this might ease Amanda's concerns here. According to the Greater Sydney Area Helicopter Emergency Medical Service, so this is an Australian emergency response website,
Okay.
there are only a few rare occasions when you yourself might need to amputate a limb.
Oh, thank God.
Okay, I don't think I'd be able to do that.
One is if when there is immediate risk to the patient's life due to a scene safety emergency, such as a major ongoing disaster with no hope of rescue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Saw.
Right. When assisting a deteriorating patient physically trapped by a limb who will almost certainly die before he or she can reach a doctor.
127 hours.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay.
When dealing with a completely mutilated limb that obviously cannot be saved and which is delaying evacuation or rescue, i.e., when the limb cannot be reattached and may prevent you from saving the patient's life, or when you must remove a limb from a dead body since that body is blocking access to other live casualties.
The fact that that had to be added to this list is like a story and a half in and of
Right?
itself. Like,
Yeah.
what
happened?
It's
to
Australia.
the Greater Sydney Area Helicopter Emergency Medical Service
I
that
don't
they
know.
had to add that to the list?
Who hurt you?
Huntsman spider
Yeah,
implosion.
fucking exactly.
Oh.
Oh my God. And sometimes, if there's like a dead body blocking access to the other people on death's
You might
door.
need to cut them up. I don't know.
I feel like for
my
our purposes, we should stay away from amputating
Amputation
limbs
in the
because
field.
Yeah,
there
maybe
are a
I
lot
should
of
make.
vessels, blood vessels.
Yeah, maybe I should make myself clear. I feel like if I witnessed or came upon an accident
Right.
wherein an amputation occurred,
Right.
and I was the only person around, and I had to like whip off, my shirt or whatever, and apply it to a wound and call 911, I can do that.
Right.
I can Taylor Lautner that shit, take off my shirt, press it against Bella's forehead after she hits a rock falling off that motorcycle. That I can do. But I cannot and will not remove an
No.
appendage. I won't do it. I won't
I
do
don't
it for
think
me.
that
I
would
won't do
ever
it for
be-
you. I won't do it.
I agree.
Well,
Okay.
I don't think
Thank
I
you.
don't think that you'll ever be faced with that decision.
I mean, I don't think I'm going to wake up like a banana, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to fucking worry about it every goddamn day of the rest of my fucking life. I don't think I'm going to turn my neck
now.
wrong.
Don't
why
ever
not?
crack your neck.
Could
Suddenly,
happen to anyone. That's more likely than you having to amputate a limb.
You know that you are the reason I am not well. Like, it's you, right?
I am not well.
I am not well.
Thanks, Lucy.
Oh,
Like,
God.
please let me be clear. It is your fault.
Oh, my God. Okay.
I call it information, but whatever.
I'm arming you with information. I'm giving you your best chance of
I am
survival.
arming you with information.
No!
I'm giving you a leg up here.
Oh my God.
Okay. So we've referenced 127 hours, and I would like to go through that story with you now because it is incredible. And I saw him on David Letterman forever ago, and I just love this story so much. Okay.
And not endorsing James Franco because apparently he's like a pervert.
Oh yeah, he's
Rapist.
trash. He's trash. He's total trash.
Yeah. Well, okay. So it's called 127 hours. It was based on an incident that happened to an outdoorsman named Aaron Ralston on April 26, 2003. He was canyoneering, it's a word, alone, bad idea, through Blue John Canyon in Utah, and it's near Horseshoe Canyon, which like you've definitely
I've been
seen
there.
as a screensaver.
Yeah.
Okay.
Beautiful. So here's the story from Wikipedia. While he was descending the lower stretches of the Slot Canyon, a suspended boulder...
Sorry.
Descending into the slot.
Descending into the lower stretches of the Slot Canyon.
My slot.
What was he wearing? He asked for it, really.
Was he a dolphin?
His vaginal slot.
Yuck. He slipped on the slot.
Wow.
A suspended boulder dislodged while he was climbing down from it. The boulder first smashed his left hand, and then it crushed his right hand against the canyon wall. I do have a photo on the drive, which will be on the blog, kind of showing the positioning of how he was stuck. Ralston had not informed anyone of his hiking plans. Another bad idea. I'm not blaming the victim.
No, but don't do that. That's just don't
always
fucking do
tell
that.
somebody where you're going to be. I don't care if it's the grocery store.
Turn on location sharing with your friends and family.
Yeah.
Just fucking do it.
Nor did he have any way to call for help. So he didn't have a phone or a walkie-talkie or like an emergency thingy.
Honey, if you are like an experienced canyoneer, what are you fucking doing?
I mean, maybe he thought it would just be like a casual hike for the most part, but still.
Doesn't matter. Casual hike. I mean,
You could get rattlesnaked.
seriously.
I mean, he clearly learned his lesson and we'll get to it.
We're not, We're just for others, for
I'm
future
victim blaming.
information.
I'm sorry, I'm victim blaming. I'm doing it.
All
I'm
right.
blatantly doing it. This is nuts.
Okay, so he's pinned to the wall by his right hand and like wrist. Assuming that he would die without intervention, he spent 5 days slowly sipping his small amount of remaining water, which was approximately 12 fluid ounces.
Oh my God, that sustained him over all those days?
Yeah, it's not a lot of water.
No,
And
it's not.
And slowly eating his small amount of food, which was 2 burritos, while repeatedly trying to extricate his arm. His efforts were futile, and as he was unable to free his arm from the 800-pound stone.
Yeah, honey,
Dear
no.
God. Okay.
Not happening.
All right.
After 3 days of trying to lift and break the boulder, the dehydrated and delirious Ralston prepared to amputate his trapped arm at a point on the mid-forearm in order to escape. So your mid-forearm, there's a lot of tendons.
Yeah.
It's a really tough part of your body.
Oh, God. Okay.
Oof.
After having experimented with tourniquets, Kenyon, and having made exploratory superficial cuts to his forearm, he realized on the 4th day that in order to free his arm, he would have to cut through the bones in it, but the
Yep.
tools available to him were insufficient to do so.
Yeah.
After running out of food and water on the 5th day, Ralston decided to drink his own urine.
Mm-hmm.
He carved his name, date of birth, and presumed date of death into the sandstone canyon wall
Oh, that's so sad.
and videotaped his last goodbyes to his family. He did not expect to survive the night, but as he attempted to stay warm, he began hallucinating and had a vision of himself playing with a future child while missing a part of his right arm.
Oh my God.
That's incredible. Oh, my God. I just got
I
chills.
didn't know
I know,
any
I got
of-
chills,
I mean,
too.
I knew like the general story because I've seen the movie, but I did not know.
Yeah, I didn't either.
These
He was
details.
ready to, like, give it up.
Yeah.
Ralston credited this as giving him the belief that he would live.
Wow.
After waking at dawn the following day, he discovered that his arm had begun to decompose due to lack of circulation,
It's going
And
to get weaker. He
he-
could cut it.
and he became desperate to tear it off. So that actually, the fact that he waited this long saved his life also.
Right,
Ralston-
because, oh, wow, that's amazing.
Ralston then had an epiphany that he could break his radius and ulna bones using torque against his trapped arm. So he could just kind of,
Yeah.
Oh.
He did that. Then he amputated his forearm with his multi-tool using the dull 2-inch knife and then also using the pliers to rip the tougher tendons.
Nope.
The painful
But
process.
he could feel all of this, or he could feel some of it.
Oh,
or-
yeah.
He's probably pretty numbed, I would imagine,
Right.
being and like fucking delirious. But
And
I'm
it's
certain,
dying.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure
I'm
he
certain
could
he
fucking
felt plenty
feel
of
enough
pain.
of it.
Right.
Plus, psychologically, just ripping through your own arm, like the physical pain is probably not even the worst part of it.
No.
Okay, the painful process took an hour, during which time he used tubing from his camelback as a tourniquet, taking care to leave major arteries until last. The manufacturer of the multi-tool was never named, but Ralston said, quote, "It wasn't a Leatherman, but it was what you'd get if you bought a $15 flashlight and you got a free multi-use tool with it."
Wow. So not even a good multi-use
Oh,
tool.
no, not a good one.
Fucking saved his life, though.
This is like the wildest part. After freeing himself, Ralston climbed out of the slot canyon in which he had been trapped, rappelled down a 65-foot sheer wall, then hiked out of the canyon all without the half of his right arm.
This is like that young woman that I covered a while ago who
Mary
had,
something.
both of her arms
Oh, and then she like
cut
climbed
off,
up
and
the
she,
ravine.
yeah, she was like dumped in a ravine on the side of the road and climbed up.
An amazing case from I Survived. Yes.
God, it's just people are capable of really astonishing shit.
Mm-hmm.
But wait, there's more.
There always fucking is. God. Okay.
Well, but where he hiked out of the canyon, he was 8 miles from his vehicle and still had no fucking phone. However, after a mere 6 miles of hiking, he encountered a family on vacation from the Netherlands.
Can you imagine out camping and this approaches you?
They're just really tall and friendly.
Oh, yeah. Eric and Monique Mayer and their son Andy, who gave him food and water and hurried to alert the authorities. Ralston had feared he would bleed to death. At this point, he had lost 40 pounds, including 25% of his blood volume. Rescuers searching for Ralston, alerted by his family that he was missing, had narrowed down the search to the Canyonlands Park, and he was picked up by a helicopter in a wide area of the canyon. He was rescued approximately 4 hours after amputating his arm. So, Ralston said later that if he had amputated his arm any earlier, he would have bled to death before being found. So again, the way his arm was dying.
Mm-hmm.
Delicate balance to like hold out long enough that your tissue is dying so you can cut it off, but also like you have enough strength and sanity to perform
And it's not
that.
like he even knew that.
It's
like this was just luck of the fucking draw. All the stars aligned for him to survive.
And that like hallucinatory vision, or I'm sure religious people would say like vision from God.
Yeah, to give him a little boost of serotonin or something to get him through another day.
Hope, yeah.
Fuck.
At the same time, had he not done it when he did, he would have been found dead in the Slot Canyon days later. His severed... He kept it, you guys. His severed hand and forearm were retrieved from under the boulder by park authorities. According to television presenter Tom Brokaw, it took 13
Ever heard of him?
13 people, a winch, and a hydraulic jack to move the boulder so that Ralston's arm could be removed. His arm was then cremated and the ashes were given to him. He returned to the accident scene with Tom Brokaw and a camera crew 6 months later on his 28th birthday to film a Dateline NBC special about the accident, during which he scattered the ashes of his arm there where he said they belong.
Okay, so he didn't keep the arm. He kept the ashes of the arm.
And only for
scattered
6 months
them.
and scattered them.
And then scattered them. So that
Holy
is a little
shit.
different.
Does he have a kid?
Wild. Has his vision come true?
Yeah. What's his name again? Not
Aaron
Tom Brokaw.
Ralston.
Aaron
I
Ralston.
got Tom Brokaw.
Oh, well, he's maybe a domestic abuser, too.
Oh,
Okay.
no.
Oh, God damn it. Can't anybody be decent?
I know.
What
They
the
do.
fuck?
He does have a daughter.
Okay.
Well, great.
I'm going to skip over that part. But yes, he has a daughter. Also, I do have to drop this picture on the drive because it's a picture of the boulder where they removed
Is
the
it very
arm,
bloody?
and there's like blood everywhere. I'm gonna
Oh, my God. All right. Are we ready for my case?
No.
I
And
mean,
yes,
it's
but
pretty
no.
well known. Lachelle, put your phone down.
I'm listening. Yes, I'm ready.
We can see you. This is video.
Yeah. Put it down.
Oh my God, Mrs. Lang.
Oh.
All right. What are you
I'm
doing? Are you
ready.
playing Animal Crossing? Are you telling
That's
Corey what
not
to make
on
for
a
dinner?
phone.
It can't
You
be on a
play
phone.
Animal Crossing on a phone. Oh
Well,
my
you
God.
can, but it's not the full game.
Okay.
Okay,
Well,
get on
it's
with
not
it.
a phone.
I'm ready.
It's
We're ready
not
for
a
your
phone
case.
game.
Okay. This
He's
was a
so
fan pick
crappy about it.
brought to you by fan picker Kristen. and you will have definitely heard about it, but it's still important to cover. And we're not going to be able to cover every single part of it because it was a huge story in the news, and we're going to cover as much of it as we can cover.
Are we going to be missing parts?
Oh my God.
Okay. So Oscar Leonard Carl Pistorius was born on
Oh, God, this guy.
November 22nd, 1986 in Johannesburg, South Africa. Ever heard of it?
Weird.
His family was Afrikaner with some Italian ancestry. That means that they were like descended from like white Dutch people that lived in
they're
South
Dutch.
Africa
Yeah.
for a very long time.
Yeah.
And they speak Afrikaans.
Really cool
and English.
language, though.
Well, it's like Dutchified.
Yeah.
It sounds really bizarre to the uninitiated, and I love it.
Yeah. When he was 11 months old, both of his lower legs had to be amputated below the knee because of a congenital defect. And he had been born like missing the outside of both feet and both fibulae, which I don't really understand that sentence.
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
his feet were like just super narrow.
I
They're
don't
missing
really,
the outside bones of the feet.
I don't know. I don't know the answer, but there was something
We are doctors.
Fibulae.
that caused the when he was a baby, they were like, okay, this makes sense to amputate both lower legs below the knee.
Okay.
Oh,
So-
yeah. Okay. So the fibulae. So you know the bottom part of your leg?
Mm-hmm.
You have the main part, and then you have a skinnier part on the out, like alongside it. That skinnier part is the fibula.
Oh, so this was a missing part of his leg
Both.
and
Didn't you
foot.
say so? Basically,
And feet.
the outside portion. So it's just the two bones straight down in the leg, and just one bone out in the foot. Because your leg has a secondary skinny bone, and your feet also has secondary side bones.
So he didn't have that secondary bone.
He just had real skinny legs and feet.
Okay. Whatever. He's 11 months old. So he has no recollection of a time before his double amputation.
Gotcha.
At 13 months old, he was fitted with prosthetic feet, and within a few months, he learned to walk. So kind of, I don't know when babies learn to walk, but I feel like right on time. I don't know. Don't at me.
6. I don't know.
Yeah, there's such a wide array of what's like quote unquote normal in terms
Yeah.
of development.
Whatever.
I
He's
wouldn't
walking
even
as
know
a
a
baby,
range.
as a toddler, with his
Right.
prosthetics. Despite his disability, Pistorius excelled as an athlete throughout his childhood, and by the time he was in high school, he had distinguished himself at rugby, water polo, tennis, and boxing. Big athlete. Sports especially became a refuge for him during a handful of different childhood tragedies. So, number one, his parents divorced when he was 6, and like, whatever, no big deal, but like that can be traumatic for some people. Also,
Well,
his
it's kind of a big deal.
I know. I just have so little sympathy for this man because he
Right.
is a piece of shit.
Yeah, but people whose parents get divorced when they're a young age is oftentimes traumatic.
Whatever. Apparently, it can be traumatic. I don't fucking know. So, his father was absent from his life. Oh, that must be hard. And then when he was 15, his mother.
Kenyon's like, mine was too, but I didn't kill anybody.
Yeah. I didn't become an abuser. It's fine. This one is tough. When he was 15, his mother, whom he was very close to, because she basically raised him as a single parent, died from a drug reaction following a hysterectomy.
Ugh.
So just kind of like
Oh.
a freak,
Yeah.
Right.
unexpected.
For what should be a pretty common procedure. And
yeah. Like my
Yeah.
mom had a hysterectomy when I
Oh,
was
yeah.
like 12. You know,
It's a
wasn't even-
standard thing.
Yeah.
What year was that? Was that in like modern
He
times?
was- Well, think about how old we were when we were 14.
Yeah, so early 2000s.
Yeah.
Okay. How old we were when we were 14. Got it.
What year it was.
Yeah.
I followed it.
I know.
It's fine. So in 2003, after suffering a knee injury that forced him to quit rugby, the fact that he could play rugby with prosthetics is like pretty amazing because rugby is just like such a physical and violent sport. But anyway,
Probably helped that like he had prosthetics since he was walking
Yeah, he
at
like
all.
doesn't
Right.
know any other way to get
Right.
around.
But
Right.
still, rugby's intense.
So he discovered running and, quote, never looked back.
Run, Forrest.
So he was fitted with high-performance racing blades that were called flex foot cheetahs and began finishing sprint races in astonishingly fast times for a double amputee. He competed in both sprint events for below-knee amputees as well as non-disabled sprint events. So he was running in like
Just your any
Yeah.
event. Yeah.
both.
Wasn't there controversy of whether those particular prosthetics
Or
were like
performance enhancing.
We will get to it.
Okay.
Yes. He kind of got the name, like, he would later get the name, like, Blade Runner because of the, like, type of prosthetics that he used for running were called, like, racing blades, whatever. So after he became a Paralympic champion, Pistorius sought to enter non-disabled international races, but he immediately began encountering obstacles. So in particular, the International Association of Athletic Federations argued that the prosthetics that he used for racing, the blades, which were different from his everyday prosthetics, these were
They
like
were for
designed
running.
for running,
Right.
actually gave him an unfair advantage over non-amputee athletes, which, like, I kind of see their point.
Right.
I do too, because they're made for running.
They're made to propel more so than I think
A foot.
a foot would be. And also, I don't know this for sure, but I am speculating that they might weigh less than
Maybe.
Oh, yeah.
a lower leg and foot.
Yeah,
A
maybe
leg
have some
weighs a
spring
lot.
type technology. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
I
you're
kind-
kind of like bionic at that point.
Right. I
In
kind of see their
Some ways.
point.
Yeah. I do. Is that
Not-
bad? I totally see their point.
Yeah. But ultimately, Pistorius overcame these objections and was allowed to compete in these events. So at the 2011 World Championships in athletics, he became the first amputee to win a non-disabled world track medal.
Wow.
He then qualified for the 2012 Summer Olympics, making him the first double-leg amputee participant and only the 10th athlete in history to compete in both the Paralympic and the Olympic Games,
Dang.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't think one's athletic prowess or disability counteracts their shittiness as a human being,
Sure. No.
but
Surely not.
one for the record books. Okay. So these achievements skyrocketed him to international fame. He signed several lucrative endorsement deals and was the subject of numerous profiles in major publications. He was a big fucking deal. He was Blade Runner. He was on
Right.
the cover of magazines. Big fucking deal.
He's a hero.
Yeah.
Well, plus
And-
the controversy, like everyone had heard of him.
Right. There was controversy. He was like handsome. It was just everything. So these profiles highlighted not just his athletic abilities, but his intense and often risk-seeking personality,
Oh, great.
which risk-seeking can also be like a side effect of trauma and PTSD.
Totally.
There are a lot of like vitamins that come back from war who then, go through a period of like really high, intense risk-seeking behavior.
Could also be a sign of psychopathy.
It could also be that.
I don't know.
More
I
wine
prefer
to
not
get
to
through
ever
this.
risk anything ever.
No.
It's
I
too
don't know
risky.
why- I don't know why you do that to yourself.
No, I'm good.
Why challenge yourself?
I
Right.
love my couch.
Yup.
Oh, God.
So as one 2011 New York Times profile put it, quote, he liked fast cars and fast motorcycles and fast boats, and he sometimes veered towards recklessness.
And fast women.
Well, no, don't say
And
that.
fast prosthetics.
I was just expecting that to be the next
It's
I
not-
was
when you,
too.
thing
When
in
you,
this
when you
super
hear fast
misogynistic.
cars
Yeah.
and da-da-da, that your brain finishes the sentence.
Right.
Goes to loose women.
Well, don't say.
fast women.
Na 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 na.
I know.
na, na.
I'm not referencing the victim of his crimes. I'm
Right.
referencing the shitty writing of this
Right.
article.
Okay,
Yeah.
correct. Fine. I'll
And the
take it.
gross phrase that is loose women.
Fast women. Get it right.
I know. I'm grossing you out.
Okay. Who sings Fast Car?
Tracy Chapman.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
different.
a phenomenal
So sad.
song.
Oh my God, I cry every time. Okay. A detail that came up often in profiles of Pistorius was a 2009 incident in which he crashed a speedboat into a submerged pier, fracturing 2 ribs, his jaw, and his eye socket.
Oh, stop, dude.
He got into a major boating accident. And police found alcohol in the boat, but they didn't check his blood alcohol level at the scene because of his like extensive injuries. So then he kind of like got away with it because they couldn't
Then it
prove
was too late.
that he had
Yep.
been drinking.
At the
But like
time.
he had definitely fucking been drinking when he majorly fucking crashed this speedboat.
Also, a busted eye socket is one of those injuries that I just like. Ugh.
Yeah, not good.
Yeah.
Not good.
So several journalists who interviewed Pistorius around this time also noted that his intensity sometimes crossed the line into paranoia.
You don't say.
After a reporter named Jonathan McAvoy visited him at his home in Pretoria, which is kind of like an Afrikaner stronghold city in South Africa. It's north of Johannesburg. It's close to Johannesburg, but it's another major city, and like a lot of Afrikaners live there.
So it's a very white city.
Yeah, I mean, yes. More or less, yes. So he wrote in the Daily Mail that, quote, in Oscar's bedroom lay 1 cricket bat and 1 baseball bat behind the door, a revolver by his bed, and a machine gun by the window.
Honey,
It's
By the
all a bit
window?
much.
that's gross that it was by the window.
Yeah.
It's-
It's all gross.
It's a fucking bit much. And also, I don't know for sure, but like, I fucking know for sure that he definitely lived in like a gated
Right.
complex with
He
guards.
does not need this
No.
level of... No.
You're not out there like, yes, in South Africa there's high crime and people, you know, criminal gangs can get past security guards and you know, rob or whatever inside complexes. That does happen, but like
That's paranoia.
it's a bit
This
much.
is fucking excessive. Yeah.
So in 2012, another reporter named Michael Sokolov visited Pistorius at home to interview him for a profile in the New York Times Magazine. In this profile, he relates a story that Pistorius tells him about grabbing one of his guns in the middle of the night and tiptoeing downstairs to confront a possible intruder after his security alarm went off. And this turned
Okay.
out to be a false alarm. But he's already like telling this profiler that like this is something that he does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas like with Zach, if I hear a noise and I like try to wake him up, he does absolutely fucking nothing.
Right.
He's like, it's fine, it's fine. Like there could be an intruder in the room and he'd be like, it's fine.
It's
fine.
the wind. It's Josie.
That's kind of why I don't want to fix my super old floors because I can hear Ray walking up the
Yeah.
stairs or like through. It's so creaky.
You need the
I love
creaking.
it.
Yeah. And like just for context, like we after living in South Africa, like we keep a golf club, you know, by the bed in case there's an intruder. I feel like that's a level of like, in case there's an intruder precaution.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
honestly, that's
Not
mostly
a
for just like
machine
peace.
gun.
That's just for peace of mind. You're not like a machine gun is super offensive. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I mean,
Yeah.
It's really
I think
aggressive.
you're nuts, but yeah, I get it.
Whatever. So it's a golf club, whatever. So this detail would take on an eerie significance just 1 year later.
Don't
So in
like
the
an eerie
early
significance. Don't like that.
In the early morning hours of February 14th, 2013, so Valentine's Day, Pistorius called for emergency medical help, claiming that he had accidentally shot his girlfriend, Riva Steenkamp, believing her to be an intruder.
Mm-hmm.
So Pistorius and Riva Steenkamp had been dating for only about 3 months at this point, so it was a very fresh relationship. He was 26, she was 29. She had been a very successful model since she was in her teens. She'd appeared in numerous like high-profile ad campaigns, several reality TV shows. She's very well known in South Africa. She was like the face of some cosmetic brand in South Africa, maybe like Avon or something. Like she was a very successful working model. She also was like a fixture on like the Johannesburg social scene, and she had recently graduated from law school.
She was way pretty. I remember seeing pictures of her.
Stunningly beautiful and brilliant, and also like kind. And she had overcome a lot of her own very serious physical obstacles in her past, because she had also been an avid horseback rider, and then she fell and broke her back in her early 20s.
Wow.
And she had to relearn how to walk.
Wow. Oh, honey.
So they had like that too. They were both like high profile, very, very pretty people who had like endured a lot and found each other, and, you know, on paper seemed like a great
match made in heaven.
But, you know, you never know what a relationship is like behind closed doors. So on February 13th, just a few hours before her death, because he called police the early morning hours of the 14th, she sent Pistorius a text message that read, quote, "You are an amazing person with so many blessings, and you are more than cared for." And he replied, "Stay tonight if you like." Pistorius would later recount how there's going to be a lot in here about like his version of events. But like,
are we doubting this text message?
No.
Well, the texts are finite. Like that's kind of, you can't.
Well,
we're not doubting the text messages. They'd been dating for 3 months, and he invited her to stay the night. And they were sending kind of lovey-dovey texts. But there are also other texts that point to issues.
I still have Brian Laundrie fresh on my mind. So, like, I didn't know if he took her phone and, like, planted some misleading texts or whatever. Okay.
No, that's not not in this case. So, I just want to preface it, like, there's going to be a lot of, like, his version of events.
Which and she's not around to advocate for herself.
She's not around to advocate for herself, and his version of events are not fucking true. But we're just going to say them here, but take everything with a fucking grain of salt. So Pistorius would later recount how he was awakened by a noise in the middle of the night, and believing it to be an intruder and that Riva was still asleep in bed beside him, he claimed he grabbed his gun, and then he heard a noise from behind the door within the bathroom, so like the ensuite bathroom. And in that bathroom, there was also like a separate little toilet room, which like classy.
A water closet.
I know, a poop door.
A poop door.
A water closet.
I fucking dream of having a poop door someday. And he claimed to believe that the intruder had taken refuge in there, which, like, yeah, that's totally what an intruder is going to do, is lock himself inside your toilet room with no chance of escape.
Right.
So then he fired 4 shots through the locked toilet room door, which, like, why was it locked?
Maybe
3
someone
of which
was using the bathroom.
3 of which struck Riva, who was on the other side of the door. He claims that he then used the cricket bat to break down the door. And then he claims he did this in a panic after realizing that Riva was not in bed and putting it together that she was behind the toilet door. And she was who he had shot at. Okay? So investigators don't fucking believe his story. He's arrested because, like, he shot and killed his girlfriend. And his trial for murder began in March of 2013. However, it was soon delayed for several months so that he could undergo psychiatric evaluation at the request of the prosecutor in the case, after the defense claimed that he had been diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder, which, like, fucking take a number.
Yeah.
Dude.
Hi.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah.
Right.
That's not an excuse for shooting
Absolutely not.
at any little noise in your home. So after the evaluation determined that he could, in fact, be held criminally responsible for his actions, the trial resumed. This is super high profile internationally. It was presided over by a judge named Thokozile Masipa and 2 other assessors who she appointed to help her decide on a verdict. And so in South Africa, there are no jury trials because it was too fraught post-apartheid with race and everything and jury determination. I mean, it's fucking fraught here in terms of race. So everything's done with a judge. So much of the testimony in the case hinged on whether or not Pistorius had put on his prosthetic legs that night before he walked across the bedroom into the bathroom and fired the shots through the door. Because the defense claimed that he had not put on his prosthetics, and then they used this as
proof that his response was in the moment, I thought there was an intruder. I'm running. I'm getting to the bathroom as fast as I can to figure this out.
And they also tried to...
Wouldn't there have been evidence if he had not put on his legs?
Not necessarily if he took them off and staged it, that he quickly hopped out of bed and ran to the bathroom.
He could have staged it. It took a minute for the authorities to get there after she was shot.
Angle of the bullet holes would be at a different height.
Well, we will get to it.
Oh, okay.
So the defense is claiming that he didn't put on his prosthetics. It was heat of the moment, whatever, panic. And then they also really tried to emphasize his quote unquote vulnerability by not having his prosthetics on and I assume sort of using his arms to move and crawl across the room in case, believing that there was an intruder in the house, he would feel vulnerable in that moment. The prosecution, largely based on testimony from the lead detective in the case, a man named Hilton Botha, and we will get to him, argued that the angle of the shots indicated that he had, in fact, taken time to put on his prosthetics, which is it takes a minute.
It can, yeah. I mean, it depends on, I don't know the style that he had bedside and he's also been using prosthetics his whole life.
Right.
So that's obviously going to come more naturally to him than another person. But yeah, there's going to be an amount of time that will pass.
Right.
That's different than launching out of bed immediately and running to the scene.
Indicating a lack of panic and even premeditation. And also, presumably, he might have noticed during the process of attaching his prosthetic legs that Riva was not in bed beside him. If he was oh God, there's an intruder, I gotta put on my legs, gotta grab my gun. And throughout that, she's not in bed beside him, not saying anything.
Wouldn't you assume she's in the bathroom?
Right.
That is more compelling to me than the lack of urgency tied to putting on the prosthetics, because like I said, he's been using them his whole life. It's almost like muscle memory to
But even if
move your
it
legs out of
takes
bed.
30 seconds. I mean, think about how long 30 seconds is,
Right.
really.
Right.
If
and
it
so,
takes 10 seconds.
yeah,
Right.
and I personally think that if he did put them on, then he would have time to logically establish that yes, his fiance or girlfriend, whatever, is not in bed with him.
Right.
And put these pieces together. I am not defending him. I'm just saying that portion of it is more compelling to me than just he put the legs on. There's no way that he was running to meet an intruder or investigate an intruder. It's that's your muscle memory. He's putting on his legs. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. No, I feel like if you think that there's an intruder and you also think that you have enough time to put on your prosthetic legs, then you're going to put them on. Yeah.
Exactly. As much as you can to be able to defend yourself against an intruder. So, I get that. But all that said, yeah, this guy's guilty. And I think this is, I think it's bullshit.
I mean,
but,
he fucking knew that she wasn't in bed beside him. So,
right.
One of the many dramatic twists in this hugely publicized trial came when it was revealed that Botha, the lead detective, himself was facing charges of attempted murder stemming from a 2011 incident in which he and 2 other officers allegedly fired their guns at a taxi with 7 passengers inside in a drunken incident, end quote. So the lead detective was not great, but that doesn't I don't know, that doesn't invalidate this
His
case.
guilt,
I feel like, especially because Oscar Pistorius is white.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean,
he shouldn't have been on duty at
Right.
all.
That detective
He
should have
was
been
awaiting these
working.
fucking charges.
That's true.
It's all
Yes.
fishy.
Right. So Botha was replaced as lead detective and the trial was briefly paused. When it resumed, much of the defense centered around an affidavit that Pistorius presented to the court in which he laid out, again, his version of events. In this, he's emphasizing his fear, his vulnerability. He mentioned that he was too scared to switch a light on in the house.
Okay.
Which,
Well,
like,
then.
okay, but, like, you have a gun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The affidavit reads in part, quote, I grabbed my 9mm pistol from underneath my bed. On my way to the bedroom, I screamed words to the effect for him or them to get out of my house, which, like, then why didn't you turn on a light if you're screaming at them? And for Riva to phone the police. It was pitch dark in the bedroom, and I thought Riva was in bed. I noticed that the bathroom window was open. I realized that the intruders were in the toilet because the toilet door was closed and I did not see anyone in the bathroom. I heard movement inside the toilet. The toilet is inside the bathroom and has a separate door. It filled me with horror and fear of an intruder or intruders being inside the toilet. Come on, dude. I thought here they must have entered through the unprotected window. As I did not have my prosthetic legs on and felt extremely vulnerable, I knew I had to protect Riva and myself. I believe that when the intruders came out of the toilet, we would be in grave danger. I felt trapped as my bedroom door was locked and I have limited mobility on my stumps, end quote.
Okay.
Again, his version of events.
Mm-hmm.
He goes on to describe the moment when he claims to have realized that Riva was in fact the person behind the toilet door. Quote, when I reached the bed, I realized that Riva was not in bed. That is when it dawned on me that it could have been Riva who was in the toilet. I returned to the bathroom calling her name. I tried to open the toilet door, but it was locked. I rushed back into the bedroom and opened the sliding door, exiting onto the balcony and screamed for help. Realized that he didn't mention anything about the cricket bat in that version.
Okay.
The prosecution cross-examined Pistorius about his version of events for 5 days. They also called a witness, the neighbor of Pistorius, who damningly claimed to have heard a man and a woman arguing.
Yeah.
And, quote, blood-curdling screams shortly before the gunshots were fired.
So there was an altercation.
Yeah. The defense cross-examined the neighbor, asking if the screams could have been Pistorius raising his voice in distress.
Like confronting the burglar.
Right.
And then rolling his car 5 times.
And the neighbor insisted that she had heard 2 voices in the argument.
Mm-hmm.
The prosecution also introduced text messages between Riva and Pistorius, in which a few of them included accusations from Riva that he was jealous and possessive.
Ooh.
Yeah, all this tracks.
Yeah.
In one message, she wrote, quote, I'm scared of you sometimes, of how you snap at me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's not good.
The defense countered this by pointing out that 1,700 messages between the two, there had been 1,700 messages between them, and only, quote, 4 conversations were argumentative, and that all of these resolved very quickly, end quote. But, like, the fact that she said, I'm scared of you.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I don't do most of my arguing with my husband via text message.
Also,
I like that
I
face-to-face combat.
Also, they've only been together 3 months. Mm-hmm. And in abuse situations, usually the abuser can, like, keep up the facade for about 3 months. Mm-hmm. And then that is when that facade begins to crumble.
Slip, yeah.
Because they're playing a character and they can't keep it up for longer
it's not
than
sustainable.
That.
Yeah.
Right. Also, there were signs of abuse in Pistorius's past relationships. So his ex-girlfriend, Samantha Taylor, had stated publicly that, quote, he used to lock her in his house with no food for hours at a time,
Oh my God.
call her parents many times a day to track her movements,
Ugh.
and physically abuse and threaten her to the extent that she feared for her life, end
Nope.
quote.
Nope.
And those two dated for about 18 months. And so she had like more time to experience
Yeah.
abuse from him
Yuck.
and controlling behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So throughout the highly publicized trial, Pistorius had numerous dramatic outbursts in the courtroom, which included him sobbing, howling, and even vomiting.
Honey, something's not right.
No, that's not normal.
You're a mess.
Mm-hmm. So the Judge Masipa, ultimately ruled that Pistorius was not guilty of murder, but was guilty of culpable homicide, the equivalent of manslaughter, which I don't feel like was the right verdict, but also this judge is like weighing
What a jury, or not a jury, but like what will hold up.
what will hold up a lot of race issues in this country. He's a very famous person. It was a huge deal.
Well, and also, again, I'm looking at this through an American lens. I do not understand the judicial system of other countries. I simply don't. But if this were happening in the U.S. and the state's prosecution could not prove premeditation,
Right.
then it would be a similar situation.
Right.
So, like, it tracks to me that would be a conscious choice in this case
Right.
to make sure that this person goes away for
Right.
something that will stick,
Right.
rather than risk having
Them
a
be set
conviction
free.
completely overturned. Yeah,
Right.
because it's not going to hold up over time.
So the judge sentenced him to 5 years in prison, and he served only 1 year of this sentence before being released to serve the rest of it under house arrest.
Of course.
But don't worry, there's a lot more.
Yeah. Just the privilege of it all.
Oh, also, which I did not realize until researching this case, and I thought that I was pretty, up on this case. I didn't realize that he had other charges from other incidents before this.
Were they like dropped, or charges that he'd already paid fines and done time for?
We will get to it. So he was charged with reckless endangerment involving a firearm for a separate incident where he discharged a gun inside a restaurant
Jesus Christ.
Oh my God.
That's kind of a big one.
and managed to skirt 2 other firearm charges, including for an incident where he shot his gun from the sunroof of his car.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Jesus.
Fucking rhinestone cowboy over here.
God, take this man's guns away.
Seriously. It's just like anywhere else in the fucking world. I mean, it's I don't know. It's just like the issues we deal with here exist in so many places.
South
and, like,
Africa and the U.S. are like very similar.
Right, and
There are a lot of parallels.
and there's just so much rooted in racism. Like if a person of color did fucking something like that, they probably wouldn't even survive seeing their day in court necessarily. It's just fucking tragic.
So the prosecution appealed and the case went back to court. This time the appeals court convicted him of murder. So the system is different in South Africa and the appeals can actually like ramp up the conviction.
The charges. Okay.
So it's like a retrial.
yeah.
Wow.
And their reasoning was that even if he did not realize that Riva was the one behind the locked door, he fired with the
At
intention
someone.
of killing whoever was
Yeah,
inside.
a person. Yep.
And so that in and of itself is premeditated murder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then the case was sent back to Judge Masipa for sentencing. During the sentencing hearing, his defense lawyer requested that he remove his prosthetic legs in the courtroom as a fucking show pony to demonstrate his vulnerability.
You know what? Okay, there's obviously a lot to be said about disabled folks with disabilities and amputees and vulnerability.
Yeah.
But this guy is milking that.
Oh,
He's it's really gross how he's...
He is absolutely
manipulating.
Yes. Absolutely, yes.
That's
Right.
gross.
And it really does like fucking laugh in the face. It spit in the face of very real ableism that fucks with
Yes.
people's day-to-day
Yep.
life, and especially in like application of judicial process.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
it's just
there are-
all around fucking gross.
Right. Exactly. There are a lot of folks with disabilities who face very real challenges when it comes to like being vulnerable, not receiving the level of care that they need, or, you know, not being able to like advocate for themselves to receive the care, the quality care that they require. And like, this is not that. This is him using this as an excuse.
Yeah, and he's exploiting that very real existence of ableist oppression
Yep.
it's really
to,
gross.
to fix his shit that he
Yep.
made.
Yep. So, they, you know, this was seen as a blatant attempt to make the judge, quote, pity his client and hand down a lighter sentence. It was like very much in the news, and like at least people called him out for doing this, but whatever. It is possible, though, that it was an effective strategy because Judge Masipa sentenced Pistorius to only 6 years in prison rather than 15, which is actually the minimum sentence for murder. And somehow he basically got the sentence of manslaughter, even though
but the
he had been
charge or whatever.
convicted of murder.
Yeah.
What the fuck is the point of that?
Yeah. So he's currently still serving his sentence. Remember, he had been out for a while under house arrest. And I think I was there when he was under house arrest for a while. And then,
Were you nervous?
although I do know somebody
She
who knows.
kept a golf club next to the bed
You know
to
someone who
defend
what?
against
You got
Pistorius.
to. I know somebody who's friends with his sister. But anyway.
Oh my god.
I never met her, so that's all I know. But anyway, he's serving his sentence. He will be eligible for parole next year in 2023.
Dang.
In a
Ugh.
piece for The Guardian during his trial, South African novelist Margie Orford described how, in addition to the all too common problem of domestic violence, which is very real in South Africa and everywhere around the world, the case also encapsulated the specific cultural baggage of post-apartheid South Africa. She wrote, quote, "The figure of the threatening black stranger has driven many South Africans into fortress-like housing estates, surrounded by electric fences, armed guards, and the relentless surveillance of security cameras. 1,000%. I fucking...
you
we
lived in one.
we had no choice. I mean, it was required. The school the school could not get insurance if all of their staff didn't live in
A gated community.
gated communities.
So it's an institutional segregation situation.
1,000%.
Yeah,
this
I mean,
day.
our community was obviously like non-segregated mixed race. It was a mix of white and black and
Right, but
and
it's just
everything
like
in
well, it doesn't need to
segregation
be
by
that
default.
blatant. It's like
Right.
classist segregation.
Classist, yes.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Finishing the quote, "The claim that Pistorius believed to be defending his home from an intruder inserts a third body into an all too familiar narrative of domestic violence. This imaginary body of the paranoid imaginings of suburban South Africa has lurked like a boogeyman at the periphery of this story. It is the threatening body, nameless and faceless, of an armed and dangerous black intruder. Perhaps this is the real fascination of the story for us. These three bodies, one dead, one imagined, and one on trial, will play different roles. So many men in South Africa exist in this state of macho, hair-trigger tension in which action comes all too often before thought."
Not just in South Africa.
Yeah, you know, in the U.S. too. So many parallels. "This trial will have to weigh one version of macho against another. Either Steenkamp died because of Pistorius's drive for the ultimate control over a woman that comes if you kill her, or she died an innocent bystander of that other macho which has not faded in the 20 years since apartheid, where a notion of total onslaught comes from a deeply entrenched fear of the swart gevaar, the black peril. Swart is black and gevaar means danger." End quote. So, I mean,
God.
that's very much true. It's like there was this like excuse, this mentality among a lot of white South Africans of like, well, there are lots of intruders. And like, there are, but at the same time, if you have enough of these like systems in place, like that's still fucking paranoia. It's still bullshit.
Ugh. Yeah, it's such like a layered and intersectional issue.
And nuanced, really.
And nuanced and systemic on 1,000 fucking levels.
And the domestic...
And is like, it's not written in stone that it's like segregation but it is targeted to the Black community. Like that's how it plays out here. That's how it plays out there.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. And it's a little bit different there because the demographics are so different, and like 93% of the country is Black. And so, you know, whatever. In the US, that's like not the case, but we still have those same prejudices.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a very interesting case, but he fucking did it. And every time people learn that I lived in South Africa, they like ask me about him, and I'm like, oh, he fucking did it.
Yeah.
It was domestic violence. He was an abuser. This poor woman, you know, she was starting to pick up on the fact that he was controlling and violent, but it was also so new and so fresh.
Right.
That, you know, what there's nothing she could have done to protect herself. It was just, he's just a horrible, paranoid, violent man.
Yeah.
Controlling
and then he tapped into like manipulation and ableism and racism to defend himself. And frankly, it fucking worked.
It fucking worked. Fame, white privilege, and manipulating ableism to his benefit.
I knew he was a piece of shit, but I really hadn't spent time analyzing this case. And it is like so much more layered in how shitty he is than I even knew.
I'm glad that our fan picker requested this case because
that's nuts.
And like
it's
the
deep.
fact that he's like has athletic accomplishments as a disabled person, like, okay, great, fine.
That's
that
great.
Doesn't outweigh everything else he's done. And it certainly doesn't outweigh the value of this poor woman's life.
No, you can lose your legs and still be a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I like Margie's paragraph at the end, though. It kind of ties it all together in a really concise, interesting way.
Yeah.
So good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was great. Are you ready for my case?
I don't know.
I'm disturbed from Oscar.
You guys.
I'm reeling. Okay.
This is fucking. I'm. You know what? I'm not gonna say anything else. I'm just gonna go.
This is fucking okay.
This is fucking. In the process of Googling, quote, severed hand used to plant fingerprints at a crime scene.
Nice.
Oh my God.
Genius.
Amazing.
Genius goog for this
A
app.
lot of
goog.
interesting shit's gonna pop up, as you can
Good
imagine.
God, that's a good goog.
Good God, that's a good goog. Most of what popped up was like fictional crime stories or novels.
Yep.
Where this like macabre method is used. Some articles popped up debunking this tactic entirely.
They shrivel quick.
Exactly.
Yeah, you gotta
Precisely.
move quick.
And then this strange story with fucking wild photos. We'll get to it.
Yes.
I texted Lucy immediately. Was like, "You're gonna lose your shit."
I haven't looked.
I put my photos in a separate folder so that no one could peek at them, and then also gave Lucy explicit instructions not to peek.
In all caps.
All right, tell us when we can.
So, I will. So this story graced my Goog feed, and I was hooked. So first, we have to travel both in time and space to Russia.
Of course.
Glad to.
Specifically, Das Vidanya. Specifically, the Siberian city of Khabarovsk.
Fucking Siberia is wild.
Yeah.
I want to go.
So that's where we're going in March of 2018 for this case. The city is home to about 500,000 people and is located close to the Russian border with China. The Amur River runs along the city, and there is a small island on that river that is a popular fishing location for folks in Khabarovsk. It's a cold March morning, everything's still frozen, and a fisherman is making his way toward this island spot for a little bit of it's basically ice fishing, but also the river is flowing, so you can still fish in some open water.
Okay.
The fisherman was stopped in his tracks, however, by the gruesome sight of a single severed hand on the frozen riverbank.
Ooh. Cash. Just a cash hand.
Soup's cash hand.
Big Fargo vibes.
Just a peace sign in the ground. He stopped to investigate, and maybe he was mistaken. Maybe it's a
like
mannequin.
Made you look, you're an asshole.
Yeah, you get
No,
punched
don't
in the
do
arm.
that. That's a bad sign now.
It is
Yeah, the
now,
white
but-
supremacists ruined it.
Yeah.
They ruined
No.
everything.
But in 2018, maybe it was still, look, you're an asshole.
Maybe.
Okay.
So, he's maybe it's a mannequin hand. I don't know. But as we've been
never a
taught by
mannequin
Karen in
hand.
Georgia, it's never a
Not.
mannequin. The fishermen contacted police, and they promptly arrived at the scene. They gingerly bagged the single hand and then conducted a search along the riverbank.
Gingerly bagged the single hand.
I did not see that in my notes, but I have to imagine that's how they did it.
It's a really pleasant sentence. They gingerly bagged the severed
single
hand.
hand.
Lucy missed her calling.
I know, really.
I know. There was too much chemistry.
I know, I get it. So they bag the hand, and then they keep looking around the riverbank for additional evidence. And there they found a bag, a large bag. They opened the bag and discovered 54 severed human hands in various states of decomposition.
So there were 55 total?
No, 54 total single hands, 20 something or 30 something, whatever half of 54 is, that's how many sets.
But I mean, there's one hand
27
outside of the
sets.
bag and then 54 in the bag.
So
55 total.
No, I think there's 53 in the bag, 55 total, or 54 total.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
but
Even
all in all,
Even number total.
there's an even number.
That was my main question, as you know.
Holy fucking shit.
They then laid the hands in rows in the snow, attempting to match them to each other. And yes, there is a photo on the drive.
Siberian cops, I don't think that is the best method.
Y'all.
No fucking
Y'all.
That's 27 sets, by the way. It took me that long to do the math. Oh
I already said
my
it, but
god.
yes. Yeah.
They look like workman's gloves.
They do. They
do.
look like gloves. It's like
if somebody
graphic,
made
but
balloons out of gloves.
right. It's like graphic, but also not. It's only graphic because you know what it is.
Yeah, you can look at that. That's
It's not
fine.
like blood. Oh, and don't worry. I'll tell you how I got this photo.
in the snow. Come
In the snow.
on, guys.
Yep. The hands
They
were
are
accompanied.
paired up.
They're paired up. They're making matches.
Yeah, I
God.
mean, a lot of the matches make sense. Just
They make a lot of
visually.
sense.
I mean, I get it. I've been doing puzzles for the last 72 hours. This is actually triggering something in me that I kind of love.
Yeah,
this
we
is
should make
basically
this a
Best
puzzle.
Fiends.
It is
match.
best, match
no, Best
three.
Fiends isn't matching.
If it was match 2.
It's like Bejeweled.
Oh,
The hands were accompanied by bandages, gloves, and hospital-style plastic shoe covers, like the ones that surgeons put over their shoes to stay sterile in the operating room.
Yeah, or like realtors to like not fuck up hardwood
Right.
floors.
My face
All,
is hot, you guys.
like stuffed, all stuffed into the bag of hands. I knew you would love this.
Oh my god.
With the state of the hands, officers were only able to lift fingerprints like loosely from one set.
Yeah.
And the mystery of where the fuck all of these hands came from hit the media, which is how I got this picture, because the Siberian Times tweeted that photo of the rows of hands just
They
on
don't give
Twitter. They do not give a
any
single
fucks.
fuck. Not a one.
Siberia's like, this is just another Tuesday. We are
Not a
wild up here.
single
I'm
fuck.
moving to Siberia.
Seriously.
Oh my god.
Yep. So they tweeted that photo Which is why I'm like, I'm cool putting this on the blog/drive because it's already been tweeted. It's already been on social media.
Lucy's zooming in.
With the caption, quote, macabre bag containing 27 pairs of human hands found in bag on Amur River Island. Mystery over who the hands belonged to, when they were chopped off, and why. And then all caps, graphic images.
It's a lot of hands.
They're
It's a
all
lot.
cut at the exact same place.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the pile. Look at the photo of them as a pile.
Yeah, those are the 2 pics I pulled from the tweet.
And there's one hand that's like
Hooked.
this.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
it's half closed. That one is like way more graphic to me than the rose.
Okay,
I
all right.
love the
Tell us
rose.
what the fuck is happening with all these mitts.
Will you
Well,
take this rose?
Will you accept this
I
severed
need
hand?
answers now.
So theories abounded.
No.
Could this have been the work of a
Christopher
depraved
Walken.
serial killer? No. Could this be the remnants of an ancient punishment for theft? The city's proximity to China raised concerns that a Chinese mafia ring could be responsible for the amputations, or even a post-mortem plundering scenario, getting like jewelry and things out of dug up corpses.
There are easier ways, guys.
Some of the theories that poured in from around the world were truly bizarre and exceptionally stupid, and I will read them to you now. I went
Thank
through
God.
so many comment sections, you guys.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yes.
Quote unquote, Doc of the United States commented in 2018, quote, if those doing research on this geographical area would take notice, these resemble parts from early Siberian peoples that once lived across the vast area now known as the Amur River Valley.
Yeah, they're human hands.
These indigenous people were short in stature.
Also had hands.
Well, it's funny you should say hands. We'll get to it. These indigenous people were short in stature and would commonly graze the lands during moderate weather patterns. Based on the photos and reconstruction efforts, it appears that most likely these are feet. End quote.
These are not feet. Let me just stop you right there, Doc.
Well, sometimes people say things that are so stupid, I honestly can't tell if they're trolling or not.
right.
Like, is this a troll? Like, it has to be a troll.
That might be a troll.
These are the dimensions of these hands.
Yeah.
The not feet.
My hands are small, I know.
but they're still
not
feet. They're not
They
feet.
are not feet.
Oh my God. Maybe that's a troll. Okay.
Maybe, but I also
I've
like to.
got severed hands.
Oh, God. I know that people are that stupid, though, is the
That's
thing.
true.
Quote, Quincy, who claims to be an LA medical examiner, I don't know, wrote, the institution responsible for removing the fingerprints from undercover Soviet agents' hands prior to assignment abroad has suspended its operation and is retaining new staff in the desired procedure, which will remove only the fingerprints and leave the hands attached to the body in their anatomical position. Prior staff members have been
'cause
reassigned.
if you don't, it'd be pretty obvious to finger
Right.
an undercover Soviet agent who has
They can't
no
finger you
hands.
back.
Right. Prior staff members have been reassigned new duty in the Kremlin's free vasectomy clinic and must serve 5,000 hours of non-paid labor with RUSADA with a goal of reclaiming 41 Olympic medals stripped from their country's athletes, as well as clearing the name of over 1,000 competitors who they say have been wrongly accused of doping.
This was written by a bot.
The chemist
A
games in
bot
Moscow.
who has only been exposed to QAnon Reddit forums.
The chemist games in Moscow were duplicated in Sochi, some analysts claim, end quote.
Analysts, definitely not spelled right.
No.
Analysts.
Analysts.
Not even
I
that.
do not
Analysts.
understand what theory is being suggested here, but I had to include it. It was just cuckoo
It's
bananas.
so confusing.
That's a bot. That's definitely a bot.
But would a bot misspell analyst?
Oh, maybe
I don't
not.
think they would.
I don't know.
I think that's just a
Quincy's a
crazy
wannabe bot.
person.
fucking QAnon weirdos. Okay.
Quincy
Meme
Q.
of Q. Oh, it was Q
We
himself.
found Q.
Well, we did.
We do. He's living in fucking Japan. We all know who Q is.
We know
God.
who fucking Q is. Follow the pens, people. The pens. And the watches. Okay. Meme of, quote, somewhere USA wonders, Could they be remnants of hands of supposedly enemies of the state that supported the Tsar that were cut off by the Cheka, the communist Bolshevik secret police, and Kharkov the priest Dmitri's hands were chopped, according to documentary The Russia We Lost?
The fuck?
Okay, listen, people. They're deaf hands. Okay,
They're not
We
feet.
know this much.
and they're hands. They're human hands, and they were cut off.
And they're not still attached to the Soviet agents.
So none of that is adding any information. We know that they
Oh
are
my
human
God.
hands that
I
were
think
cut
they're
off
saying-
for some purpose at some point in time.
I think this meme is trying to say that they were the hands of enemies of the state that
Right.
supported the Tsar.
Okay, sure.
And that the Cheka, I don't
they're
know
the hands
who the
of
Cheka were,
somebody.
cut them off. Yeah.
No
yeah.
shit. Yes.
We
They
know
are
that
the
they're
hands
hands.
of
The-
somebody.
The theories are just whose hands were they
Right.
and who cut them off.
That's
and
what
that's
the theories
she's
should be. But
Right.
what I'm getting frustrated by is how many of the theories are not that.
well, right,
are
but she's
not
giving
written well.
she's
at
giving
all.
the theory of
Right.
whose hands
I
they
know.
were, enemies
I
of the
get it.
state, and who cut them off. So that's what is
Girls,
that?
The
I get
Russia we
it,
lost.
Get it.
It's Looney Tunes, but it is that. Some folks seem to just have a laugh over this bizarre story. John of Australia brought out his best puns with his comment, quote, "That was hands down the handiest story I've ever had the pleasure of reading." I'm sure it would make a great fiction story from an imaginative soul somewhere. The 270 Fingers of Fate or similar.
Yuck.
So gross. That would be me.
I like
Totally-
John of Australia.
Super disrespectful. Hands down. This is the best article I've ever read. Quote, Dan of the USA thinks maybe someone wasn't able to complete their wind chime project. I'm guessing it's an over-the-hill celebrity that just wanted to hear the audience applause every time the wind blew.
Oh my
Sorry, I
God.
couldn't resist.
You
End
could
quote.
resist.
You
Dan.
could, Dan.
That
yes,
was
all
bad,
Dans.
Dan.
That was really
Yes,
gross.
all Dans.
Yes, all Dans.
And of course, there was a healthy dose of racism against the Chinese and your classic like Sharia law, xenophobia, commenting bullshit. But these are comments I'm not going to read. But none of these folks would be correct. As it turns out, the bag of hands was not criminal in nature, at least not the amputations.
Okay.
It is an uncommon practice, but a legal one nonetheless, for forensics labs in Russia to remove and retain the hands of unidentified corpses. This is done to
Why?
maintain access to their fingerprints, even though it's not very accurate, after the body has been disposed of. So they keep the hands and will like
In
either
case they can
bury,
identify them later.
right? It will either bury or cremate the rest of the remains.
Would it not be better to
We'll
take
get to it.
fingerprints?
Obviously, in the modern age of digital record keeping, this is obsolete, and fingerprints can be taken and recorded without having to tag and freeze sets of literal hands.
Okay.
There we go. There we go.
But a forensic lab in Khabarovsk, I'm never going to get it right, was still using this outdated method. The medical bandages and plastic shoe covers worn in hospitals found with the severed hands confirmed that they were indeed connected to a medical facility. But with little detail about the medical process behind the severed hands, the discovery is still causing suspicion. Authorities clarified that this was no longer a homicide investigation, but rather an investigation into the criminal means of disposal of biological waste. The medical facility in question turned out to be the local medical examiner's laboratory in this city, responsible for performing autopsies and identifying
And
bodies.
what did they
which would
do?
be-
Just dump a fucking garbage bag of hands in the river?
I have a theory, and we'll get to it. But in a statement that I translated just using Goog,
Yes.
authorities said, quote, the investigating authorities in one of the channels of the Amur River within the boundaries of the city of Khabarovsk found the hands of persons on whom, as the investigators established, forensic medical examinations were carried out and measures were taken to establish information about their personalities, which I assume actually means identities, but that was just maybe a twist in the twist.
She loved the
I
opera.
wanted, was she a Libra?
Look at all these calluses. Great guitar player.
Oh, love that.
Definitely a bassist.
These biological objects, parentheses, hands, are not of criminal origin, but disposed of in a way not prescribed by law. Currently, the investigating authorities of the Investigative Committee of the Russian Federation for the Khabarovsk territory are conducting...
mouthful.
Yeah, I know, right? Are conducting an audit establishing all the circumstances of the incident. Based on the results of the audit, a legal assessment will be given to the actions of officials of the Forensic Medical Institution of the city of Khabarovsk responsible for the disposal of these objects, end quote.
Mm-hmm.
So, obviously, people remain super skeptical because, like, why the fuck are they still cutting hands off rather than just taking fingerprints and logging them into digital record in fucking 2018?
Also, just ink and paper.
That's what I mean. That's what you
Right.
do. Like, not only
Yeah.
did they have ink and paper long before that, now they just have, like, the digital pad. I had to do a background check for part of my LADC training, and you just go and they do the digital fingerprinting. Like, it makes... And that was earlier than 2018. That was in
Right.
2017. So, like,
That was
the
Siberia.
technology exists. But here's what I think. Were these old John and Jane Doe hands that they had entered into digital record and were simply disposing of them in a super lazy way? Like some intern was tasked with cleaning out the old Tupperware in the
And they
lab
didn't
fridge and
cremate
like
them.
tossed it all in the river.
They do. One of them definitely looks like it has like frostbite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I,
Some of them look older than
They
old
got,
others.
they got
takeout.
like freezer burn.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think these are older, but then there are some like, okay, so row 2, set 1. They
The
look
black
those
one?
look
From the top?
No, from the top. Sorry, yes, top down, row 2, set 1. So
Yeah.
far left. Those look
Oh.
pretty fresh,
Yes.
Yeah.
And the ones next to them look
pretty
not.
mangled. Yeah, not great.
And then bottom row, far left, looks
Freezer
that's
burns.
mold.
Really freezer burns. Yeah. And
Mhm.
like half decomposed. But then let's see, 1, 2. I need to label these. 1, 2, 3. Row 4, hand 1, all off like far left, also looks really fresh.
Okay.
One of them
2,
does.
3,
The other one's just a
4.
lump.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Look at row 4, far right. What the fuck is that? It's just a pile
fingers.
of
I
fingers.
think it's just fingers.
Oh my god. This is the coolest case we've ever covered.
This photo is unbelievable. I can't. So
I'm
that's
making it my desktop background.
go for it. That's my theory. And I spent a healthy portion of time looking for a follow-up or like charges, fines, anything from the method of disposal in this case, but I was not able to find anything. So if anyone out there lives in Siberia, do we have any listeners in Siberia? If anyone out there knows
Is
what ended
anyone
up,
alive out there?
is anyone alive out there? If you know what happened in terms of like charges against this fucking forensics lab, please slide into my DMs because they're amazing. But in the meantime, maybe just keep your ID on you. Maybe get some easy to identify tattoos and piercings so like nobody has to lob off your hands to figure out who you are. In Siberia.
Yeah.
All right.
I wonder if
All
it
right.
like fell out of an airplane or so. It's in the middle of a frozen lake, right?
No,
or on the
there's-
banks.
It's like the town or the city. It's a big city that this river runs next to. And the facility is close to the river.
Somebody just
Okay.
dumped it.
So they went through the fridge. They had to get rid of the old takeout
Yeah.
and they tossed
Yeah.
it in the fucking river.
1,000%.
They had to-
1,000%.
the old takeout. But
Wow.
yeah, God rest these palms.
Wow.
Oh, well, I mean, at least we can be fairly confident that these people died of mostly natural like they just ended
We
up at
can't.
the morgue.
We can't actually because
Oh.
if the hands, in theory, if the hands were removed, then they are unidentified deceased persons who could have died.
Oh,
in
that's true.
all
But they
kinds
didn't
of different
die
ways.
because of their hand amputation.
No, they did not. Their hands were amputated post-mortem.
Right.
But
Okay.
in theory, if we are to believe what this facility is saying and the law is that they're allowed to do this, and the facility was like, yeah, we were still doing that, and then somebody didn't dispose of these right. So
Well,
like that's their explanation.
I'm about to go on yet another Siberia deep dive
Right?
because it's amazing.
It's like only in Siberia, y'all.
Yeah.
They're also large looking too.
Yeah. Some of
They
them
all
are
look like
huge.
burly men's hands.
Yes.
Mhm. Some of them do
Definitely.
look really big, but I also wonder if there's like any weird bloat. I don't know. They look wild, but this photo is amazing, so go to the blog.
Can't believe they tweeted it. It's amazing.
Siberia, like you said, doesn't give any
No
fucks.
fucks.
And I love that in caps they put graphic images, but there's nothing that's covering the
It's
images.
not blurred. Yeah,
No,
exactly.
you're gonna see the
You're
image
reading
before you
graphic
read
image.
the tweet. Yeah.
I'm sending this picture to my dad and asking him to model his gloves because they look exactly like this.
Yes, those like tan leather.
Totally.
The tan,
work gloves.
yeah, the really soft work gloves.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the supple.
All right. While Lucy does that, special
That's my
thanks.
case.
Well done. Special thanks this week to our double fan pickers, Kristen Thomas and Suzanne Jacobson.
Hi, Mom. Love you, Mom.
Thanks,
Don't
Mrs.
these look
J.
like your work gloves?
Oh, God, Lucy.
All right. We love you all. Goodbye.
Thanks, bye.